Something serious happened today in Abuja. And if you live in Nigeria or you have people you love there, you need to hear this. The United States Embassy in Abuja informed its citizens that there is a high potential for protests in the capital on Wednesday, March 4, 2026, due to the current conflict with Iran. That is the capital of Nigeria, where some of the most important offices, embassies, and institutions in this country are located. And today, the American government told its own people to stay inside their homes. Let me explain this carefully, because there is a lot of confusion on social media, and I do not want anyone to panic. The U.S. Embassy released a formal security alert via the official X account of the U.S. mission in Nigeria on Wednesday, March 4. This was not a rumor or a leaked document. It came directly from official diplomatic channels. The embassy strongly recommended that all U.S. citizens in Abuja remain in their residences. They were told to avoid crowds, stay away from protest areas, and keep a low profile. Citizens were also urged to review their personal security plans, keep their phones charged, and carry proper identification. But why? What is really going on? The warning came 4 days after U.S.-Israeli airstrikes targeted and killed Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, along with several other high-ranking Iranian officials. This event shook the entire world. Iran launched multiple missiles targeting U.S. bases in Gulf countries, including Saudi Arabia, vowing to avenge the death of its supreme leader. The hostilities, which began with coordinated U.S. and Israeli strikes over the weekend, have shown no sign of ending as they enter their 5th day. Now, you might be asking yourself, what does a war between the United States and Iran have to do with Abuja? That is a fair question. Members of the Islamic Movement in Nigeria, known as the IMN, have been staging protests since Sunday against the joint attack on Iran. The group, under the leadership of Ibrahim El-Zakzi, has staged demonstrations in Lagos, Niger, Kebbi, Kaduna, Sokoto, and Kano. On Tuesday, members staged a peaceful protest in Yobe State, condemning the killing of Khamenei, whom they described as a revered spiritual leader. The protesters called the killing an act of global arrogance and a direct attack on the Shiite faith worldwide. So this is not random anger. It is a spiritual and political reaction from a group with deep ties to the Iranian leadership. The IMN traces its inspiration to the Iranian Revolution and has long expressed solidarity with Tehran. And here is where the concern grows deeper. The embassy noted that previous protests by some groups have resulted in violent clashes with Nigerian security forces. Nigeria has seen this before. There is a painful history of confrontation between the IMN and security agencies in Abuja, and lives have been lost on both sides. If this video is helping you understand this situation, please tap that like button. It helps more people see this, and it helps us keep bringing you news that matters. Let me also tell you what else happened as a result. The U.S. Embassy cancelled all visa appointments in Abuja on Wednesday, March 4, due to the potential for protests. Think about how many Nigerians had appointments that day. Students, families, business travelers who had been waiting for weeks or months. The suspension is temporary, and services will resume once the situation stabilizes. The mission clarified that its consular sections in Abuja and Lagos remain open, but the decision to shut down one of its busiest services for the day tells you how seriously they took the threat. Now, I want to be fair and balanced. No major incidents had been reported in the capital as at the time of the latest reports. The protests in Lagos, Kano, Sokoto, Gombe, Kaduna, and Yobe saw no casualties reported. That is good news. The demonstrations have been largely peaceful, and we should acknowledge that. Not every protest leads to violence, and people have the right to express their feelings. But we cannot ignore the pattern. Security analysts say the protests underline the long-standing ideological link between the IMN and the Iranian government, a relationship that has often drawn attention from Nigerian security agencies. What about the Nigerian government? The government has called for calm and urged all international parties to pursue dialogue rather than further military action. The warning also came amid broader global unrest linked to the U.S.-Israel-Iran tensions, which have prompted heightened vigilance by security agencies in Nigeria, including increased police alertness in the Federal Capital Territory. If you are still watching, I appreciate you.
Please subscribe to this channel so you do not miss important updates like this. We are here to keep you informed, calmly and honestly. Let me leave you with something to think about. When a foreign embassy tells its citizens to stay indoors in your country's capital, that sends a message to the world. It affects how investors see Nigeria. It affects how tourists plan their trips. It affects how international organizations make decisions. This is not just about protests. It is about Nigeria's image on the global stage. But it's also about everyday people in Abuja. The woman selling food by the roadside, the man driving his taxi, the student walking to school, who deserve to go about their day in peace and safety. When tensions rise, it is the ordinary person who pays the highest price. We do not yet know how the rest of this week will unfold. The conflict between the United States and Iran is far from over, and its effects are reaching places many never expected. Let us pray for peace, hope for wisdom from our leaders, and remember that safety should guide our steps in times like these. Stay informed, stay safe, and keep talking to one another with respect.